I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Minor change in the agenda this morning, after Jack does his thing, the sheriff asked when he comes in if he could be moved up in the agenda. He's got something going on this morning, so when he walks in, we'll move him up. Did everybody have an opportunity to review the minutes, and are there any additional corrections that we need to do?
Just what I talked to you about with the committee members.
Yeah,
a lot of them are listed as others, but they're actually committee members.
Yeah, would you go over that again, Joe, please?
Okay, so, I don't know who Ackerman is, but,
Lori Fawn Ackerman.
Fawn
Yes.
Ackerman.
Yep, she's advocate at Embrace.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So Embrace, they're members, Lori's a member, Angie's a member, Kendra's a member, Ron is, Harless, they're all members.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, any other additions or corrections? I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as corrected then, please.
I'll make the motion, I guess.
Okay, any second? Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes as corrected. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Minutes are approved. Jack, you don't have your new assistant here.
Oh, I just saw him.
He wasn't in the office when I left, so.
Yeah, he was in the hallway when I went out, but.
Maybe not.
We do have a new assistant, started, beginning of last month. He's learning his job. You know what, that's not a bad idea. I'll have him come down, and then you can all, meet him, and he can introduce.
All right, then, pending that and pending the sheriff, Angie, would you care to update on recovery court, please?
Recovery Court currently has 4 active participants, 2 females, 2 males. We have 2 others that we have, given letters, accepting them to Recovery Court once all their cases have been finished here, a month or so, and then we have at least 4 more applications, in different phases of acceptance. So, when we had our meeting yesterday, the way things are going, by about the end of the first quarter next year, we should have close to full maximum capacity with 10 participants in Recovery Court.
Okay, do we have somebody in treatment now?
Yes, there's one of the males, requested to go to treatment. So he is in, Broadhead, Wisconsin at a treatment facility and is doing very well. The grant application, we're waiting on the final letter to be coming in. That should be coming in the next couple of days here. We'll get that to John
Okay.
for signature as soon as it comes in.
How many days is that program, that individual?
So it's a 30-day program, but they are able to request a 15-day extension.
Okay.
And he has requested the 15-day extension. Per his words yesterday, I've been using for 24 years, 30 days isn't going to help.
Yeah.
They also offer, like an extended, sober living environment. So he is even thinking of possibly doing that as well, but
Awesome.
he's doing very, very well.
Last month, Judge Stewart mentioned getting a copy of the grant out. Have we done that, or can we do that?
Yeah, I was kind of waiting for the final approval to make sure that we didn't have to change anything, because I didn't want to send it out and then find out that we had to change something and then send it out to everyone again.
Okay.
So now that it's in the final stages of acceptance, then I'll send it out today.
All right.
Because I didn't want to, like I said, send it to everybody and be like, oh wait, I make a change, and then send out another copy. So now that it's waiting on the acceptance, I will email the grant app out to.
Can we get the, narratives that go with it?
They'll get the whole thing. Well, I shouldn't say the whole thing. It's very extensive, so.
I understand, but that's where the cuts is, cause the individual components of the grant referred to these handouts and they weren't available, so we had no idea what was actually going in that portion of the
You
grant,
want the whole
so.
thing, I'll send you the whole thing.
What handouts are you referring to?
Well, it said reference to appendices.
Yeah, I'm just
that
talking
kind
about
of
like the
stuff.
design table, like when you send a thing out, it shows like a link to like the
Oh,
design
yeah.
table and the goals and objectives. They want all those.
And there isn't, that link doesn't go
That
away.
link doesn't
Send
audit it, no,
Oh.
you gotta attach it separately, and I didn't realize that, so, yeah.
Okay.
Anybody have any other questions for Andy? Okay, Sheriff, we'll put you on, cause I know you got something going, so.
Alright, thank you. Just update on the tower project, we do a weekly meeting every Tuesday on the project, it's moving forward a little slower than they initially anticipated, you always get the what ifs and how comes. So we're looking at March, for a completion date on having everything up and running on that. As far as the jail's kind of in a holding pattern until they get the RFPs back on the highway, shed that they're gonna build to add to the borrowing process, so I'm guessing that's gonna be in a holding until probably February or so.
What was the last information on that? 'Cause I didn't make the meeting,
So-
so.
The last meeting we had with them was, the jail came in at 34 million. And then they figured they would be able to do, the $7 to $8 million highway building, which is desperately needed. So they chose to put everything on hold and move forward with that until they can get all the pricing and everything on that, so. But that's where we were at, a 52-bed jail, with the ability to, expand up to 90 some if they added on more pods as it went, so.
Now, is that gonna be a pod system then?
Yes.
Okay. You had to give up something to get down to 34 million, if I remember the meeting I went to, what?
We cut some bed space, we took all the Huber stuff out of it, because in the last 2 years, we probably had one Huber, and if we do Hubers, we'll do an electronic monitor. So we took some of that housing out of it, we shrank the kitchen, laundry room area down. Not the way we wanted to do it right, but you gotta get down to what numbers they gotta have, so.
Does that include that skywalk too?
No, there's no skywalk. And the bad thing about it, no matter where they put it, now we have to transport, to court. So we'd have to go from that Sally Port to this Sally Port, up to jail, so.
Is anybody looking at how that is gonna impact things fiscally, cause that could get expensive?
Well, it's gonna impact, 2 employees and another vehicle, so, at least, I mean, that's the minimum. But that's kinda where we're at, yes,
So
sir.
the locations across the street.
That, right now, the location has been chosen across the street here, so.
How many females are you currently housing? Like capacity wise, how many can you take? Cause I think we were down a couple, right? Like it was limited or there was.
Yeah, last I know, and I haven't checked the numbers this last week or so because of the holidays and
Yeah.
everything, but we were down to 1 female, which allowed us to bring a lot of everybody back home because,
Okay.
at one time we were up to 4 females, which took up 3 different housing units out of the 10 we have.
Yep.
So that made it hard, so they're working very hard at upstairs, keeping as many people home as we can, but.
Okay. Is that kind of the max that you're seeing right now is 3-4 females then?
Well, we'll take as many as we can, but right now they're just, the last week, I think one went to prison and.
Gotcha,
and
yeah.
a lot of them
That's
were
helpful,
on
just cause
probation.
I run the women's group weekly, so I was
Okay.
just curious how many
Yeah.
people were roughly.
Yeah, I don't know what the number is today, I don't know how many's there today, but.
Sounds good.
How much did the skywalk add to the budget on that, do you recall?
They figured about 3 million.
And I see where you're coming from, the extra squad and the 2 extra employees seems to be counterproductive in the.
Well, you know, you could figure 100,000 per employee and the vehicle's probably gonna run you 60,000, probably. I mean, the vehicle will get one time every 4 or 5 years probably, but, 200,000 is gonna be a yearly thing, so.
Alright,
Okay,
Any other questions for the sheriff?
Thank you.
Thanks for coming
You
in,
bet.
Sheriff.
Thanks for letting me jump ahead here.
No problem. Okay.
Hey, one other question, I mean, not another question, another addition to the recovery board. We did get law enforcement back on the table, last month, couple weeks ago. One of the newly promoted, road deputies became an investigator, and so he's now our new narcotics investigator, and has, Matt Wojcik has now joined the team, and will be a very, great member to have on the team.
So, we're still working on a treatment provider. is
Yes,
that correct?
I actually got, a response back from her yesterday, and they came back with cheaper, lower numbers than what we sent her.
Good. Which
she's-
also includes her treatment being on the team as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, and that's one of the things that they're working on now is, figuring out the compensation for, the Melissa that would be joining our team. When they started getting numbers all together, they got everything done and thought, oh wait, we should probably include her in that. So when I talked to Kristen earlier this week, they were, trying to make amendments to it, to add Melissa to it. So, they are still in the process of working in it, and we should be getting them here pretty soon.
So then, consistent with the study that was completed, we've got the full team then?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And
Any other
what are-
questions?
What are the provisions for making sure all these new people get at least basic training in treatment court?
The provisions. Oh,
What-
so
what
like
is it?
training, so like, Marcia and Heather are the two, what are they, I think Heather is like the state treatment coordinator, and I can't, Marcia.
Oh, Marcia Shizik and
Yeah.
Heather Cusack.
Yeah.
Heather is the, I forget what her title is. Marcia is strictly TAD.
Yeah.
Heather is, all,
Like, she's the
treatment courts,
mother
diversion
coordinator,
program,
yeah.
state diversion
Yeah,
program.
so they will, provide like training for us throughout the stage, so like, in the beginning of the year next year, she'll come in and she'll provide training for us. We also have, I signed up for, I can't think of what the name of it is, All Rise sent a training thing out yesterday that we could use 2 people. So I will attend and probably send Matt but it's a virtual thing. He'll be able to attend it, that goes over all the different layers of treatment court, so.
They'll be required to go to WATCP.
Yep.
We're still trying to figure out, we were encouraged to, try to figure out how we could get to the national conference in 2025. We asked for extra money for that. That portion was denied. Wasn't surprising since we've given back so much money. But we're just waiting for the treatment portion to see if we can, do a budget modification to still get people to that national in May. But for sure, the Wisconsin training, in my opinion, I've been to a lot. That's probably one of the best ones that they do.
Yeah, they were here.
So they'll be required.
Yep, and then I also found, on the All Rise, website, there are different training modules for new participants, which I will share with Matt in the coming weeks, the next time I talk to him, I'll send it to him. He can go on the All
Heather
Rise.
has a list.
Yeah, there's like a
Heather
whole list of training modules that he can do. To read up on all the different standards and roles, responsibilities, moving forward.
Has everybody on the treatment team already undergone this basic training?
The standards, yeah, they just came not
They
too
were
long
just
ago.
here, what, June or July, they were both here, updating all the current numbers on it. Because the team itself had done it in March earlier last year, I believe it was.
I think it was the year before.
Yeah.
We have new members now.
And then Marcia and Heather came in June and July and provided us roles and responsibility training for all new members or anybody who wanted a refresher on it.
Any other questions? Thanks, Judge. Thanks, Angie. Mr. Cabanas?
Well, as I started mentioning, we got a new ADA. His name is Patrick Gould, and I'll have Patrick stand up and introduce yourself, Patrick, to the CJCC.
I'm the new ADA. Nice to meet everyone. I was born in Omaha, so I know a little about the Midwest. I lived for 10 years north of Chicago, so I know a little bit about Wisconsin because in those days, about 10 years ago, I would visit here a lot. So I'm very happy to be here. Jack's a good mentor for me, and, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Where'd you go to law school?
Buffalo, State University of New York at Buffalo.
Okay.
So I know a little bit about snow and cold as well.
Where are you living at now, Pat?
Corbett,
Okay,
apartments over 403 Corbett.
okay. How do you like the cold? Oh, you were in Buffalo, so
I don't like it. I don't prefer it, but I can deal with it. How's that?
Patrick apparently likes to snowshoe and cross-country ski,
That's right.
and so, I told him he couldn't have come to a better place.
Well, normally we have a lot more snow by this time, so we'll see if we can help you out with it.
All right, great. A little disappointed.
Yeah.
What's your legal background?
Legal background, I've taught since I've graduated from law school. So I taught for a number of years at Appalachian School of Law, which is a school in Grundy, Virginia. It's a tiny little town, and the entrance requirements there are nil, and so the students had a very hard time passing the bar. So they hired me to put in programs and things to help those students pass the bar. And in that area too, there's very few lawyers. So the students who would graduate from Appalachian School of Law would really enhance the rural regions with lawyering. And most recently, I spent 4 years at a Christian law school in South Korea. It is a very unique law school there because the students who graduate from there actually take the bar here in the United States of America. So what happens is they can practice international law, or they can move to the United States and practice here. It is the only school in Asia that has a English curriculum in which prepares the students to pass the bar of the United States.
I don't know if you're qualified for the job.
Where was that in South Korea?
Pohang,
Okay.
which is on the East Sea, they call it, not the Korean Sea, because Japan and Korea have had a fight. Japan calls it the Japan Sea,
Yep.
and Korea has fought for many years to have it called the Korean Sea. So the Koreans call it the East Sea, which is basically the Northern Pacific, and it's about 3 hours train ride from Seoul, so it's southeast of Seoul.
Okay. That's interesting. Anybody else have any questions? Thank you. All right, what I wanted to share a little bit with everybody today, because we haven't talked about the Rusk Restorative Youth Programs.
Rich, I'm sorry, can I interrupt for a second?
Absolutely.
So I'm getting a message about virtual. When you and I talked, I thought that it was gonna be available. Apparently Ashley and Connie said we can't do it.
I asked Ashley and I gave the information to
Yeah.
Roger, that's all I did.
Apparently, only the county board meeting can be virtual.
Well, but they keep saying that we're not a county committee, so those rules don't apply to us. We can do virtual if we want to,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
It doesn't, I don't have no,
All right,
I just gave the information.
let's, I'll research that for next time a little bit. Mr. Willingham, do you have any input on that?
I have a lot of input on that, but you probably don't wanna hear it. I do not know, I do know that from time to time, committees use virtual access for guests and or presentations from, outside. The Personnel Committee occasionally has, its, consulting attorneys participate virtually. So I don't know just how strict that rule is, but.
Well, maybe we should put it as an agenda item for a motion and an action next month. It was my understanding when I was chair, that I thought we had voted to make it virtual. This is a unique group because we have, a lot of different agencies involved throughout the state. I was told this is not a recognized, committee by, the county board. So when I was chair, we had the virtual. Jeff was of the opinion when he became chair that the county didn't allow it, so he didn't. When I inquired, I was told it was up to the chair. So, I think if you do some
research that with Ashley and the county attorney and see what we need to do. Personally,
We had virtual access last month, did we not?
Well, yeah, cause I did it virtually from
Yes.
my
Yeah.
conference down in La Crosse.
So did we get a letter saying, don't do that?
But we have Jeremy's computer,
yeah.
that's how we got hooked up.
Hey, I'm gonna have to call you back.
That's an issue, if we're gonna do it.
No.
No.
Okay. Okay, when I get home, I'll have, okay, bye. I'm not at home right now. Okay. Okay.
Okay,
But I
Bye.
mean, on Teams, I have just Teams, I don't have Zoom.
okay.
Is there any, I suppose this would get more complicated for everybody in the building, but is there any reason why we couldn't meet somewhere else?
No.
That has virtual access?
I think if we had everybody here, we wouldn't have room enough if we met somebody else.
Is there no virtual access here? Yeah, because they come to the county board meetings.
There is.
Well,
Well, yeah, no, I'm not, if indeed somebody decides that we can't have virtual access on the basis of the county's rule about only the county board have virtual access, there are other facilities in the community that would probably be happy to let us use their facility and their, virtual access capabilities if we ask.
you know, that's a possibility, it's worthy of discussion. I know Jump River Electric has a large meeting room that we might be able to utilize.
I mean, obviously, it would be an inconvenience to many of the members who, you know,
Work in this building.
trot down here from their office and get back up there, and that saves them time if they have to drive out to the. Anyway.
All right, we will make sure and put that on the agenda for next month. Hopefully we can resolve that issue and have virtual by that time, so we will look at that.
And I think just, for the record, what Jeremy was using was Teams
Yeah.
as opposed to Zoom.
I have the Teams.
Okay,
Isn't Teams the official, I mean, county switched over from
right.
Blue Jeans
Which
to,
will just have to go on, either be sent to somebody or on the agenda.
but
Just put on the
Teams
agenda.
is what the county platform is.
The link.
There.
Right, you may need to.
All right.
We don't use Teams for anything, so, there might need to be some kind of instructions sent.
It's
So
something,
and I gotta get permission to put things on my computer.
instead of doing it on the, you don't have to have a icon.
Yeah, you don't have to have the app.
You just put, you just go through the web,
Yeah.
the browser,
Yeah.
that's it.
Well, and that's Zoom, so I know the two people that are asking me are state employees, who use Zoom, so we could use Zoom for this, right, in here, I mean, there's
I don't
internet.
have.
They would have to be the
There's
host.
internet, so.
One of those people that have Zoom would have to be the host rather than.
Right, and
Well,
we
Rich
can,
could be the,
That
or
would-
I could.
We all
could
have to
use
have
my
computers
Zoom.
in.
Yeah. So,
and then just bring your computer down or whatever, because I don't have it.
okay.
And that will look.
Is there- What kind of access is available in the small courtroom?
Zoom. Yeah, we could do it, we could meet there, or even in the large courtroom. We could do that.
That would be more.
We used to.
Right.
We did that.
All right, let's look at doing that, for next month. I think that would help. I hope it wouldn't, I still hope we have the in-person attendance that we have, you know, that would be, that's an important factor. If we can continue to have in this building, like you said, that's much better, because I know it's much more convenient for me to go from the office and down here, or even, one of the courtrooms would be fantastic, so. But, the large courtroom, obviously, judges at the meeting, we could certainly.
Even if I'm not, Lori has access to my Zoom.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's look at doing that. Rusk Resort of Youth.
Safety programs would be really good too.
Oh,
So we do that with adults, but now we have the adolescent curriculum as there's that connection between trauma and drinking or using drugs, that's something that we could definitely, provide to those students.
I will get a hold of you and
Perfect.
we can talk about it. So thank you very much.
What's a typical, community service? How many hours and where?
Generally, they're at a minimum of 8 hours,
Oh my goodness.
of community service, and,
I think that's a lot.
Well, no, I had you were telling about your son, one of my kids, got in, picked up for, shoplifting.
Ah.
Of all things, when he was in high school, which was pretty dumb on his part, because he had a job, he could have paid for it. But anyway, it was typically the same thing, a fine. And I don't think the fine was even, that much. And I had to talk, Gary Rivers was the juvenile, social worker at the time, and I called Gary and I said, the fine is not going to help. I said, I think he should have to go to court and stand in front of Judge Stravinsky, who my son knew that Judge Stravinsky did not like me, so that would have made it even more fun. And he needs to get chewed out by Judge Stravinsky, and he needs to get 100 hours of community service. And I have no doubt in my mind that community service was the deal maker. It made a huge difference. And, because I'm certain that paying a $25 or $35 fine would not have changed that behavior.
no, the fines, there's nothing to be learned by paying the fine. And in the vast majority of cases, it's the parents that pay the fine, and the underage person learns absolutely nothing, by that. Where with the restorative youth programs, it's an educational process, and it's certainly much more difficult than paying the fine. I've got a couple of my kids on the teen court panel that would probably take the vast majority of kids we have and send them to prison. But they can be a little bit hard nosed sometimes, and they have had, depending on the particular charge, 20 hours of community service going forward.
What kind of places do they do community service?
They can do community service for any entity that they do not get paid for, any nonprofit entity, and they cannot do it for any family members or relatives. So if they're, I've got one person that was real involved in church, that did it all in church. I had another individual this fall that went around to the elderly people in the neighborhood and raked their leaves for them. And they have a form that they have to sign off on going forward, so it was.
Going to church is community service.
Not going to church, they have to do something for the church.
Oh.
And a lot of them do stuff for the high school, as
It's an inside joke.
Yeah, they have to do something other than sit there.
Yeah, I think my son had to sweep the floor.
Yeah.
Remember when Indian Head had the clothing distribution over here at the old creamery, and he had to go in there and sweep the floor every night after work, or after school. That was good.
Yep.
It's nice to see municipal court referring citations.
That has,
They're not just paying a fine.
right, that has been a huge factor with Judge Anderson over there, and we know that Judge Anderson was a strong believer in teen court and that, and he is kind of unhappy when somebody gets referred back that doesn't complete it. I have been in there where he is kind of had a come to Jesus meeting with him, so to speak, and, going forward. Any other questions?
Yeah, what is the nature of, or the purpose of your meeting with the school?
Just to see what channels they wanna take as far as the vaping goes. forward. We try to get an in-court, or in-school teen court going with Ladysmith, a year or so ago. And the problem with that is, the teachers didn't wanna let the kids determine what the sanction should be. They wanted to determine what the sanction should be and have the ability to override it. And I endeavored to convince them that a lot of times the kids were much harder on their fellow students than they would be, but they didn't wanna leave go of that control. So the in-school teen court in Ladysmith didn't fly, because they didn't want to leave go of that overriding authority on it, so.
So they really don't have guidelines then, like each ticket is treated separately.
And each
So,
individual.
what if the kids, I don't know, maybe they didn't like that one kid, I like that one, so I'm just gonna, I mean, does that happen, you think?
They're pretty good at stepping away. If a member of the panel goes, well, I know that kid, so I should step out. And they're pretty good at that, so.
Well, you still have an adult facilitator.
Yeah, I'm there all the time, yeah, so, and the nice thing about teen court is, we've got a script of questions, but they can go off the script also. And they ask about, their home life, they ask about their school, they ask about their hobbies and sports and activities they participate in. They ask, what they think the penalties would be, or, I don't like to use the word penalty, sanction should be. And then, we ask the parents, what's their behavior like at home? Do they have chores at home, and that type of thing. So, it's a little more reaching into the background of the young person, and then we have the parent and the young person step out, and sometimes my panel gets into some involved discussions, based on that. And I kinda laugh sometimes. I had one a few weeks ago where, the panel said, can we sanction the dad? Because the dad was kind of, south end of a horse headed north, so to speak, but they're pretty good at seeing what the problem is, going forward. But unfortunately, no, they couldn't sanction the dad.
I haven't been, paying close attention, but I've had several, juveniles who have had more than one ticket, but only one on the calendar, and then they come in and say, well, I have another one coming. So, are they getting court dates as soon as possible after the citations?
Yeah, as soon as we can possibly get them in, but now, like I said, I'm stretched out to April. I try to get.
No, I mean, yeah, well, to get them into the program, but to get them into the teen court, I haven't been paying attention to when the offense date is as to when they're coming into court, and I know other citations are set out further.
Fairly quickly, and generally if they come to me, Judge, and say, gosh, I've gotten another citation, I will get a hold of lawyer Linda and say, hey, can we move their court date up to whatever. So a lot of times you will see them on the next available court date, because we'll change.
Well, I think that's the way that it should be.
Yeah.
And maybe that should be a meeting with law enforcement to make sure that those tickets specifically, or any juvenile ones, are on as soon as, like, the next, we do those once a month, so on the next intake.
And the good part of that is, if it's like a vaping charge and they haven't yet attended escape the vape, you've been real good, and so is Judge Anderson, about saying, okay, you got another vaping ticket here, you haven't been to the program yet, so we'll roll those into one. So that's good. If they've already attended the escape the vape, and if they've already been through the teen court process and then they get another ticket, well, then it's too bad, so sad. Then they end up paying the fine and whatever.
Well, I wouldn't not let them do it if they haven't received the education or intervention yet.
Yeah. So. Anything else? We're running short of time, so we'll move on. We do have the January election coming up for the chair, the vice chair, program review committee, chair and vice chair for that. So, We will have to have an executive committee meeting. I will try and set that up for early January sometime. If anybody wants to throw their hat in the ring or be nominated for any of those positions, we would, leave that open, and if you could get a hold of me, moving forward, so. Looking for volunteers.
Not me.
What?
I have a few people I would voluntold this.
Some people know where you work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, I will set a date, coming forward for the executive committee meeting, that we will have to do that, and Judge, I will get a hold of you and see when you're available. Sometime after January 5th, cause you're bringing a bow hunt up till that.
Well, only in the evenings. I do have a question, as far as the program review committee, goes, I believe the current rule is that every third meeting or once a quarter, that this meeting will be supplanted by the program review.
That is correct.
Our last one was in October, and so I'm wondering, are we gonna continue to do that, or are we not going to do that?
Yes, absolutely, and we'll have to set a date for that when it comes, so it has to be in the first quarter of 2025.
Well, but, okay, my point was, if we met in October, then it either had to be this month or it has to be next month to still get our quarter in for last year, so that's where I'm a little bit confused. I just wanna know how we're gonna do that going forward.
Well, that's something we're gonna have to discuss at our executive committee, as to when we're gonna do that. As long as we get it within the quarter, I think we're fine.
I thought we,
I got it specifically set that it was gonna be the last meeting within the quarter. The CJCC meeting was going to be a program review meeting.
I believe you're right.
So that we didn't have to have extra meetings all the time.
but I thought that was in November that we did the program review.
No, we didn't.
We didn't have a meeting in November because of, we would have followed on Thanksgiving. So that's why we're having
So
this meeting,
is.
that's why we're having this meeting.
So we're not gonna, obviously not gonna have another meeting in December.
No.
Because it has the same problem as Thanksgiving.
Right. Right.
I mean, we could do our gift exchange that day.
If you would be kind enough just to drop your gift off at my office, that would be fine. And I know shopping is a hassle, so cash always works, you know.
Yeah, well, actually, I usually get my gift long before Christmas. I think I got my Christmas gift for 2027.
Yeah.
Our elections in January,
Elections should be in
Every
January.
time I want something, my wife says, that's your Christmas.
so then January meeting should be elections and program review.
I mean, we could do it that way, I don't see how we're gonna get that all in an hour and a half, but the program review requires an hour and a half.
Well, the elections are gonna take that long.
No, well, it could be, I mean, we have to campaign and all that stuff.
You already
Yeah.
Huh?
You'll already be assigned.
Getting yard signs out.
Well, we do
Making
have several things for the recovery board that we need to run by the program review committee
All right,
before it can go to justice and youth.
all right, let's do that in January. What is our, didn't bring my calendar, so if somebody's got a calendar with them?
Maybe the 23rd.
23rd.
23rd?
So are we anticipating that would be an hour and a half meeting then?
I would think so, yes.
We haven't even made it through half the standards yet,
Yeah.
let alone getting into programs, policy, procedures.
Yeah, cause we're gonna have to focus on those things that we, for the specific program, and we'll try and cover what our standards we can cover within that length of time. But, that'll be pretty extensive. Are you available on the 23rd, Judge? Good, Mark.
It's on my calendar.
Okay. I will I will work with everybody, get a executive committee meeting sometime in the first half of January.
And you'll send that out to everybody?
Yes. But it's gonna depend a little bit on what your schedule is. Yours and Jack's.
Well, I think, you know, if you worry about the people on the executive and then anyone else, I mean, anyone can come to it,
Right.
but, it's tough right now. Too many trials.
We'll figure it out. My schedule is probably more flexible than anybody else.
Lunch is, I'm always open, not always, most of the time open at lunch and I'm not opposed to doing that.
What's up? Jack, are you generally open at lunch?
Yes.
And Judge, you're buying lunch then, is that correct?
Not a problem.
All right. I think we've covered anything today. Is there anything that we need to cover that we haven't?
I just wanna add that we're getting real close with the vending machine at Embrace. We are hoping to do like a soft rollout over the holidays, just cause we won't physically be in the office around Christmas. So we're hoping to kinda have it a soft rollout so that way people can access it over the holidays. Then we're hoping then coming into the new year that we'll kind of open it up officially. So,
Okay.
but right now it's there, it's stocked, we just gotta do the back end software piece of it and then turn it on, so, but yeah.
I will try and get with you next week about that program.
Perfect.
And we'll send you an email and see what your schedule is like.
Sounds great.
Does anybody have anything else? I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and second to adjourn. All in favor? Any opposed?
One time I voted no on